Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Rock Your World Naturally show. As always, I appreciate you for taking time out to join me week after week. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to the show so that you can be notified when fresh content is available. Before we move on, I have a question for you. What do you get when a medical doctor who is a trained chef and certified health coach changes the approach on how patients are cared for in the current healthcare system? You get the Chef Doc. My guest on today's show, Dr. Colin Zhu, also known as the Chef Doc, shares his passion about medicine, food, nutrition, and his experience as a trained chef. We discuss his masterclass series where he combines inspiration, education, and practical tools on how to thrive. We have a powerful conversation surrounding plant-based eating, modern medicine, and what you can do to take control of your health. Let's get into it. When it comes to women's health, there's an overwhelming amount of information out there, and honestly, it can be quite confusing. Diets, fads, trends, which one is right? What if I told you the answers to optimal health can be found in one of the most ancient medical books ever written, the Bible? If you're ready to take the guesswork out of living a healthier life, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Rock Your World Naturally show. I'm Rakesia McMillan, honorably retired Air Force veteran, certified health coach, and award-winning author. After years of trying to recover my health the world's way, I was still sick, depressed, and had no energy. Finally, I surrendered to God, and He showed me in the Bible how to recover my health, and it rocked my world naturally. My calling is to help women who are struggling and burnout to have more energy and lose weight by using God's prescription for physical, mental, and spiritual health. If you're ready to experience extraordinary health, grab your favorite herbal tea or power smoothie, and let's get ready to rock your world naturally. Ladies, did you know that there is one missing link that most doctors and medical care providers overlook that is essential to recovering your health? That missing link is toxic overload. Prior to becoming a health coach, I went through years of suffering from a number of health conditions because my body was overflowing with toxins. Many women are unaware that if the body is not cleansed on a regular basis, it gets overloaded by toxins. And our detox organs, which include the liver, kidneys, lung, gut, and skin, which we count on for maintaining our health, get knocked out of balance. When this happens, we often experience significant symptoms that occur from the body trying to correct itself. Here are some signs that your body needs to detox. You have hard to lose belly fat, brain fog, especially after COVID-19, chronic fatigue, constipation, sugar cravings, bloated stomach, skin problems, gas, excessive cellulite, gallbladder problems, body aches and joint pain, migraine headaches, foul breath and body odor, and insomnia or sleeping problems. Because of our growing exposure to toxins and unhealthy lifestyle habits, it's more important than ever to pay attention to what our bodies are telling us. If you're experiencing any of these symptoms, you don't want to miss out on being a part of my upcoming monthly cleanse group. The Cleanse program comes with a powerful purifying system to neutralize and dislodge toxins, waste, and parasites and remove them from the body. Visit my website at rakesiamcmillan.com and message me for details on how you can cleanse your body naturally. My guest, Dr. Colin Zhu, is board certified in family practice and lifestyle medicine. Passionate about the intersection of medicine, food, and nutrition, Dr. Zhu trained as a chef and a health coach at the Natural Gourmet Institute for Health and Culinary Arts and the Institute for Integrative Nutrition following the completion of his medical degree. To share his unique blend of medical knowledge with a wider audience, Dr. Zhu launched the Chef Doc in 2017, an online wellness and lifestyle education platform which has been featured in several publications. Dr. Zhu is an international speaker, the author of Thrive Medicine: How to Cultivate Your Desire and Elevate Your Life, and the podcast host of Thrive Bites, in which he interviews the latest health and wellness experts about incorporating a plant-powered lifestyle, enhancing emotional wellness, and creating a thriving mindset. Thank you so much to all of those who are tuning in to today's show. You know, one of the most powerful steps that we can take to improve our health is to move towards a plant-based diet. And my guest today, Dr. Colin Zhu, is going to provide some transformative information on the benefits of plant-based living. So, Dr. Zhu, welcome to the show today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored and pleasure to be here to be with you.
Oh, thank you so much. It's great to have you. And before we get into the show, Dr. Zhu, can you let our listeners know what are you doing in your world right now that is rocking your world naturally?
Well, for me, as much as I talk about plant-based living, nutrition, and I'm a huge foodie, and when I talk a lot about food as medicine, I think the biggest quote unquote form of nourishment for me, and to answer your question, rocking my world naturally, is really about reinforcing quality of relationships. And so nothing really touches me more than having those quality conversations, connections with my close family and friends.
I think that's so good because, we're relational people, and just being around those that we love, and just whether it's exchanging ideas, exchanging information, that's also good for our emotional health as well.
Exactly, exactly. I totally agree.
hmm And so your background is very unique, Dr. Zhu. So you are a board certified doctor in family practice and lifestyle medicine, but you're also a chef. And so, can you share a little bit of how you became a chef and how you marry that with the work that you do now as a doctor?
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure a lot of your audience listeners are scratching their heads. They're like, why is a doctor a chef? And at the same time, is it a hobby? What's going on? So I definitely have to go back, retrace my steps a little bit just to kind of give you some context. And so basically, I grew up in a household and led by, a very a powerful and gentle and compassionate mother. She's a traditional Chinese medical doc, and she's been still practicing for over 4 decades. And she's the ripe
Wow.
old, age of 73, and she's still, feeling like, she hasn't really tapped her potential. That's the kind of woman that raised me.
Mhm.
And through, Eastern medicine, you learn a lot about holistic approaches. You learn a lot about preventative care, and you learn a lot about, being well before, doing something, when you get sick. And so I took that going into medical school, and in medical school, like a lot of my colleagues, I don't know if you've interviewed a lot of doctors on your show, but at the time, we just had a paucity of nutrition, diet, lifestyle related curricula, education. And no matter who, I saw as a patient, and no matter whoever walked through our doors, whether it's like a cough or a low back pain, whatever have you, there was always some sort of chronic lifestyle related risk factor attached to them, whether it's high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, heart disease. I'm sure, your audience members either battle it themselves or know of someone that battle, something like that. And so I realized that I needed to seek out this type of extra education. And so I just made a lot of detours. And how I came to find at the culinary arts was because, I grew up in a household where both my parents cooked, and being familiar in that kitchen setting, we just love food, but we didn't realize growing up that, growing up as a first generation immigrant child, you don't realize that the types of food that are displayed in front of you in America, where everything is so easily accessible and convenient, and now with COVID, everything is at a push of a button. You don't know how much that affects your own health. And so I didn't want to learn just about nutrition. I wanted to learn about where did food come from, how it's sourced, how are different flavors and palettes put together and brought up into a lovely dish that's good for you. And so I went to culinary school. That was generally more plant-based and health supportive. And then I took that education, and now I just go around and publicly speak, give demos, give workshops, and talk like this lovely show.
That is so good. Just being able to bring, the food component into healing, because food truly is medicine, Dr. Zhu. And so, with the work that you do when a patient comes in to see you, is it that you treat them with food as medicine, or what does that look like for your patients?
So, I'm board certified in general practice. That was my training. And then I got extra certification in something called lifestyle medicine. And lifestyle medicine is nothing, it's 6 pillars of the basics that we all know of, right? What we put in our mouths, how we move our bodies, sleep, hydration, avoiding risky behavior, self-care, stress management, and quality of relationships. And so we pride ourselves in, taking the best evidence that we have, which is a mountain, like Mount Everest amount of evidence. And we really reinforce, solidify, and reiterate this foundational practice. And, our job is to make it the primary treatment, and also the primary prevention that, a lot of the top 10 causes of death, top 2 has always been heart disease and cancer. Nowadays, it's been COVID, right? And then you have things like stroke, liver disease, diabetes, cognitive decline like Alzheimer's, and kidney disease. A lot of these top causes of death have some sort of diet/lifestyle component attached to them. And so there's studies that show that if you just change up your diet, move your bodies, right, and just stop smoking, you can effectively prevent up to 80% of most chronic disease. And so why is it that we don't do it, right? And I think we're in a healthcare system that is really funneled to just treat, a pill for every ill, and to easily just go to a subspecialist and go to, surgery and just cut out the problem and, not worry about it. And so the problem with that is that there's nothing wrong with that when it's absolutely necessary. And there are a lot of times and instances where we need that, right? Not to downplay it. But there's a lot of instances where we don't recognize that the body is telling us something. We don't recognize that the body has a lot of cues and signals. And, we don't give it the opportunity and chance to literally let it do its work, because it's a very beautiful, complex system that is, there's so many different types of chemical, biochemical, metabolic processes that are happening inside that we're still learning. And it's that synergistic effect of that whole complex system that is able to do its thing and heal. We just kind of have to get out of our own way, so to speak. So.
And I think that what you said, Dr. Zhu, is so important, that our bodies give off so many signals. Sometimes I like to say that our bodies have a language and we have to listen to what it's saying. Some of our bodies are screaming, some of our bodies are speaking in ways, but we can't ignore those signals, because when we do, it can oftentimes lead to a greater decline within our health. And so, for someone that might be listening, Dr. Zhu, that's got some signals that are going off, in their body, they've got body aches, they've got body pains, different things that they are experiencing. What is one of the first things that you can recommend or share with them that they need to do regarding that?
I think depending on what the signal is and what the body is trying to tell you, I think one thing is to be able to pause and reflect and just take a breath, take a beat, right? And to sometimes be in silence. At times, we live in a very noisy and very distractful world. And we're always in front of a screen. Everything is virtual. We are sequestered and separated from our loved ones at times, depending on where we are. And so a lot of times, what's interesting observing COVID is that we've connected a lot more virtually, but I feel like we've been more disconnected as as humanity.
Mhm.
And so a lot of times it's really about getting back into practice. So of, just listening to yourself. And sometimes that's very challenging when you don't have, when you're not able to minimize the noise and the distractions from the outside world, right? So, what I mean by that is silencing your phone. So, for example, I go out for a morning walk, and I put down my phone. So, what that allows me to do is to emphasize my five senses, to kind of think about and be in nature, be present in nature. And for me, I love nature. I traveled a lot before COVID.
Mhm.
And it really taught me a lot of learning lessons about myself. And I've done a lot of personal development, a lot of self care for more than a decade for myself as well. And it's really about listening, pausing, you know, breathing, reflecting. And I think that if you feel like there's something is going wrong, like red sirens, red flags, that tingly spidey sense, right?
Mhm.
I definitely emphasize, reaching out for help. I get a lot of patients that, I do a lot of telemedicine, telehealth, virtual visits, and you'd be surprised on how many people don't have a primary care physician. They
Mhm.
haven't seen someone in 3+ years. And I get the same comments whenever I ask why. And it's because, well, nothing has gone wrong. I'm healthy.
Mm.
And, a part of what I teach and how I coach patients is health is, we think about health as the absence of disease. And I feel that, that's really, really far away from the actual definition of it. And, health is really about proper homeostasis and optimization of all your systems.
Mm.
And I emphasize a lot, not just about physical health, but also emotional and mental health. So just because nothing is wrong, that doesn't mean that, nothing is really brewing and gradually, getting to that threshold where things are about to tip over. A
Mhm.
simple example would be, you don't wait to, maintain your car, before it breaks down, right? You don't wait for it to break down to like bring it into the shop. You bring it for oil change, changing of filters, maintenance, you maintain that car, right? So what if
Mhm.
I tell you that your body is like a car and you only get one car in your entire lifetime? You would do, if you look at it like that, you would do, your best to maintain that car before, as we all know, our bodies eventually rust and break down, just like that car. So I say to your audience that it's important to, take a step back, reduce the noise. And then if you feel like something is wrong, you rather be safer than sorry, and, definitely seek out a healthcare professional.
That's great, great advice, Dr. Zhu. And so, in addition to being a chef, a doctor, you are also an author of your book, Thrive Medicine: How to Cultivate Your Desires and Elevate Your Life. Can you share a little bit about your book, Dr. Zhu?
Of course, of course. Thank you for bringing it up. So basically, before COVID, as I mentioned before, I've traveled a lot, and traveling is a huge passion of mine. I humbly, say that I've been able to touch every single continent on planet Earth.
Mm.
And through these experiences, I've been able to cross paths with people that I normally wouldn't in life, right? And I thrive a lot based off of connectedness, like-mindedness, just really stimulating, conversations. And so when that happens, I get a lot of light bulb moments for myself. And, I felt like over time, why don't I just put this, down on paper so others can experience in some way similar to what I felt and also what I've learned. And like I said, I'm really big on the self care, personal development world. And I really like wanting and having the desires to change, but also having actionable steps, like a play by play to, actually implement something. So I created this book as kind of half memoir, half, personal development, how self empowerment type of book to really help people, look at things in a different lens and to take different perspectives. And that's what I felt that traveling did for me, was to introduce and be open to other people's, different ways of life. Because how I lived, we talked off camera a little bit, and how we've had a lot of our lives in New Jersey, in Northeast New Jersey,
Yeah.
of the United States. And you develop a certain sense of perspective, right?
Mhm.
And imagine that. And you go to, for example, Tanzania, or the locals call it Tanzania, and you get a certain perspective from them. I've met people from Australia, I've met people from New Zealand, I've met people from Cambodia, and people have a different outlook, different way of living, and neither right or wrong, but it's really fascinating to see how we've lived,
Mm.
right? And so introducing new perspectives helps me. And one of my goals is to introduce different perspectives on helping people to get to an elevated point in their lives. So that's what I do in the book.
I absolutely love that, and I couldn't, agree with you more as far as being around different people, different environments. It really does help to expand your horizons and thinking. And so, out of all of the trips that you've made, Dr. Zoo, you've been to all of the continents. What has been your most memorable experience?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I have so many, and they're different for different reasons. I would probably say so one of them is I'm a scuba diver. I'm a certified scuba diver. And a lot about, what I do, not just food as medicine, is also connecting it to how, not only is it important to optimize individual health, but how that plays into and how that connects back to planetary health and global sustainability. And we've been hearing more and more about climate change and all that. And so, as a scuba diver, I've learned and observed firsthand on how climate change affects our oceans, for example.
Mm,
And I've watched and observed firsthand coral bleaching off the coast of Australia, right on the
mhm,
Great Barrier Reef. A lot of, I don't know people know this or not, but 50% up to two-thirds of the barrier reef is dying off, and it's due to global warming, which leads to ocean acidification, and it creates ecosystems that are no longer habitable for life forms, our marine life underwater. And
mm,
so, as much as I enjoy just being at peace and listening to literally nothing but bubbles underwater, I'm
mm,
also saddened by how the life that you see underwater, which is really surprising because 80% of our ocean floor is unmapped, unexplored, undiscovered.
mm,
And, you witness part of nature dying off. And
mhm,
so, that is a memorable, experience. And then, traveling to Antarctica, being able to see a sea of, king penguins, be able to
mhm.
walk around, and just having no human influence is really, really awe inspiring. So those are my two memorable experiences.
Oh, that's absolutely phenomenal. And I didn't realize that that number was so alarming regarding the coral reefs. I mean, that is an alarming, alarming number.
Yeah, exactly. Coral reefs represent a quarter of all marine life, and it sustains so much of our marine ecosystems. And if you can think of coral reefs kind of like major cities, like for you it would be Manhattan, right? Just
Mhm.
imagine part of a Manhattan decimated, right, and no longer habitable. And I think Manhattan is home to like what, 8 million, right? And
Yeah.
just imagine 8 million people not having a home. So coral reefs are like cities underwater. And so when you destroy that, mostly because of human activity, it's decimated. And how that affects us is because, coastal cities, coastal islands, coastal lands, they need to feed off of, sea life for jobs, for food, for
Mhm.
sustenance, right? And then another fact is that we are overfishing to the point where our demand of seafood is so large
Mhm.
that there's estimates by 2048, most of the ocean fisheries will collapse because the demand in taking out so much seafood is way more going at a faster rate than the ocean can replenish. And so when that happens, I don't think we're going to have a lot of trouble for human activity. Just
Mhm.
because you are in the middle of America and you're not living by ocean, there's a lot of interconnectedness that you don't see trickle down to you. So we're in a very critical decade, unfortunately. And, that's why I talk a lot about food as medicine, but also how that connects to everything else.
Yeah, and the fact that you even mentioned that, Dr. Zhu, that's all the more reason of moving towards a plant-based lifestyle because if we are, overfishing and really depleting the oceans, habitation, that is again another concern. But, our part in moving towards a plant-based diet, do you think that that can help to um, move towards eradicating some of those numbers in some way, even though it may be a small imprint? Do you think that that could help?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, most of the people on Earth, we have a huge meat demand. So when I think of animal, so I'll term this in terms of animal-based foods. So this could mean, foods that are coming from land, which is terrestrial. So, it could be anything from like, poultry to beef to pork, things like that, to seafood, right? And
Mhm.
so when we're eating more plant-based, working as a general practitioner, I see everyone from, children being born to advanced age and everyone in between. So you kind of have to meet people where they're at. And so I transitioned to whole food plant-based eating around 2014 after training for my first marathon in New York City.
Mm,
And, the science and literature was irrefutable by then. And we've actually known since 1990, early 1990s, that a low fat, whole food plant based living type of living is able to not only treat, prevent, but also reverse heart disease, okay? Type 2 diabetes, and even early stages of prostate cancer. And so, no diet, not even keto, not even paleo, has been shown to do this. And so, the reason why this is because that, when you're incorporating a lot more, plants, you're not only incorporating a lot more fiber, you're incorporating, the body's, essential needs of vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients, antioxidants, things that are, able to lower your chronic inflammatory burden, fight off cancer, right? Prevent cancer, and, really sets up the stage for the body to heal itself, right? And I'll just give you a fact. That when someone is eating a standard American diet or standard animal-based diet, and what I mean by that is you're eating a lot of animal-based protein, processed food, fried food, fast food, things like that. To sustain one person on that specific diet, okay, you need the equivalent of 3 football fields of land to be able to sustain one person on that diet. And to put this in perspective. 70% of the Earth's agricultural land is used for livestock. And the issue with this is because not only are we, destroying forests, jungles, we hear a lot about the Amazon and Brazil being destroyed. You're using it for grazing animals. And so what ends up happening is that it produces a lot of CO2 emissions, right? You're using a lot of water input, right? Gallons and gallons of water. And it's very ineffective and inefficient to be able to, feed, people. It only represents 18% of the calories, and it actually hurts our health at the end of the day, and it's not good for Mother Nature. And so there's so many reasons to be able to, the reasons why we need to shift eating less animals to eating more plant-based. And I'm not telling people to, go overnight, what I'm saying, to be vegan or whole food plant-based, in overnight. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is start off by doing meatless Mondays. Start off by doing, substituting one meal out of 3 meals, just eating plant-based, for example, right? So it's just making small changes. And collectively, if we do that, we can, really, really shift, not just our own health, but also planetary health for the better.
That is so, so good. And it's just, again, making those small steps, as you said, doctors do. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, but through time, by implementing these simple things, it certainly can become a lifestyle over time. And so, one of the things that I was really excited to see to help individuals to move towards, plant-based living, towards a healthier lifestyle, is that you've created an app. Can you talk a little
Mhm.
bit about your app, Dr. Zhu?
Yeah. So to give you a broader context, I founded the company, the Chef Doc, back in 2017, and the reason for this is because I worked mostly in clinics and office type settings as a primary care physician, and so I thrive on the rapport and the relationship building with my patients. But the one-on-one counseling became over time very ineffective and inefficient because there's so many things that we need to talk about, in a visit. I'm sure a lot of audience members know that when you visit a doctor, you're waiting, so many hours, in the waiting room. And when you see your doc, if you're lucky to spend like 15 minutes with them, and
Mhm.
how much of that time is actually spent on education, you're effectively, it's just not enough time. And so what I've decided to do was I founded the Chef Doc as a wellness platform of resources and education to really reach as many people as possible. So from that, over time, I've written a book. I hosted my own podcast. I created on-demand video content. And then my latest iteration is an app. And, why an app is because, we leave the homes with 3 items: our wallet, our
Mhm.
keys, and a smartphone. And so being part of someone's ecosystem of an app is really, really important. Not just, a lot of apps are really geared towards entertainment, but it's really about, okay, how do I, go about my busy life, but also, get healthy at the same time. And I've created programs in the app. We have 4 programs right there in the app right now. Is it's really geared towards every type of learner. You have visual learners, you have audio learners,
Mhm.
you have learners that like to learn, right? So we've created content. One of the content is transitioning to a whole food plant-based diet. That's an audio course. It's just an hour. That's great for people that love to listen. We have our first 150 episodes of our podcast. Some of it is audio, some of it is video as well, that people can be on the treadmill and listen. And if they want to watch, they can. We have on-demand, lectures. I created a summit over the pandemic, and I've interviewed a lot of, experts from like doctors to dietitians to coaches to entrepreneurs, really talking about, the pillars in order to thrive. And then my latest programming is off of Thrive Medicine. I created a 21-day challenge to really, how can we effectively, not just wait until New Year's, but how can we, effectively change our point of view to take life by the horns and really thrive. And I have a 21-day challenge where I create a video companion to the book, which is an audio form. And the point of this app is really to help people gain resources, gain momentum, and learn. And we also are, for this year, looking to introduce coaching services as well, because we have people that are really, really self-motivated, but we also have people that need a little bit of guidance. And we hope to roll out coaching services, really soon. So stay tuned for that.
That is phenomenal. It's like having a little university in the palm of your hand.
Yes, that's the point. A one-stop wellness app.
I love it. I love it. And Dr. Zhu, it has been incredible hosting you on the show today. Are there any parting words that you'd like to leave with our listeners on today?
I would say, for your listeners to remind them that health is wealth. And I think that no matter from what we've learned over the pandemic, no matter whether you're a homeless person or a billionaire CEO, if you don't have your health in check, it's really hard to be able to, move forward and achieve the dreams and the goals and aspirations that you set out, in life. And so whether it's me or, going to someone else or, it's important that, that we have the tools and education. And so, if you wanted to learn more about what I do, my main website is thechefdoc.app, app. And then you can also download my app off of, Apple stores and Google Play, and you just type in the Chef Doc into the search. And reach out to me. I love to learn about your health story, about where you come from, and let's see if I can, help you, optimize your health and wellness journey.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Zhu. Again, it has been my pleasure to host you on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it.
Oh, I wish you well in all that you do, and thank you again for being a part of our show.
Thank you.
I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. I pray that it blessed and challenged you to move towards living the abundant life that God has for you. If so, would you stop right now to share this episode with someone who's been praying to improve their health spiritually, physically, or emotionally? I would love it if you could take 30 seconds to leave a review on Apple Podcasts. This is the only way that I know that you're liking the show. Also, it rocks my world to hear from you. Lastly, come on over to my free community, RakesiaMcMillanCommunity.com, to grab your free gifts. I have everything you need to know about working with me, taking my courses, or connecting. Also, head over to RakesiaMcMillan.com to explore my health products and sign up for free complimentary health coaching. My prayer for you will always be 3 John 2. Beloved, I wish above all things that you prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. I'll see you in a few days. God bless.